Within the depths of the forest lay an expansive area strewn with rubble, surrounded by towering trees. Amidst this clearing, the shadows of numerous figures could be faintly seen, and the constant murmur of voices filled the air. As the scene drew closer, a view of an ancient stone plaza became visible in the center of the clearing, where a crowd had gathered. Don't push us too far. We've already handed over a Nirvana seal. What more do you want? We have no interest in this kind of duel. A voice filled with anger echoed across the plaza. Some of the bystanders sighed quietly at these words, their eyes showing traces of sympathy and wry smiles. Through the crowd, two opposing groups could be seen facing off in the center of the plaza. One group consisted of just 3 people, their faces familiar. Upon closer inspection, they were revealed to be Mo Ling and his companions, the same trio who had inherited a guardian sect legacy from the ancient secret repository. Since leaving the ancient secret repository, Mo Ling's group had parted ways with the others and ventured through the core regions of the super cities, which was why they had yet to reunite with Lin Dong. Due to their inheritance, Mo Ling and his companions had advanced to the 3rd Nirvana stage, a respectable level of strength, though not particularly dominant in the core regions. Without this stroke of luck, they wouldn't have even qualified to enter this area. Opposite Mo Ling stood several figures dressed in black, their eyes mocking as they gazed at the trio, like cats toying with mice. Mo Ling, we were kind enough not to strip you bare without a word and even gave you a chance to fight back. Win, and you not only get to keep your Nirvana seal but can even take ours. Where else would you find such a good deal? The leader of the black-clad group smiled lazily. We don't want to fight you. Mo Ling's voice was steady, but his gaze shifted to a large tree behind the black-clad figures, where several individuals sat in meditation, completely disinterested in the unfolding drama. Although their eyes were closed, the faint, terrifying aura they emitted blanketed the entire plaza. These people all hailed from the same dynasty, an immensely powerful super dynasty. Mo Ling knew them well, having traveled from the same super city. The conflict between their groups had arisen from a minor dispute, one Mo Ling had hoped to avoid by deliberately slowing their pace. But, in the end, they crossed paths here. Despite the legacy Mo Ling's group had received, they couldn't compare to the deep foundations of these super dynasties, leaving them with no choice but to endure the provocations. Initially, Mo Ling and his companions had come here to rest, only to run into this group. Under the pretense of a friendly spar, the black-clad figures had approached, their true target being the Nirvana seals in Mo Ling's possession. Unable to resist the overwhelming force, Mo Ling had sent out Man Shan to fight, but the opponent had used underhanded methods, leading to their defeat. Despite handing over a Nirvana seal, the black-clad group had only grown more aggressive, pressuring Mo Ling and Du Yuewen to fight as well. Standing beside Mo Ling, Du Yuewen and Man Shan were livid, their faces dark with anger. The crowd surrounding the plaza watched silently, none daring to speak up. Their gazes toward Mo Ling's group were filled with both pity and schadenfreude. They all knew the black-clad figures were from the great Sheng Dynasty, a super dynasty that reigned supreme in this resting area. No one dared challenge them. Mo Ling's misfortune was just that, bad luck. Mo Ling, stop with the childish talk. In a place like this, what would stop us from taking your Nirvana seal by force? The black-clad leader smirked, his tone mocking. But since we came from the same super city, I'll give you a choice. Hand over another Nirvana seal and walk away, or we'll take everything you've got by force. Your call. Mo Ling's fists clenched at these words, and beside him, Du Yuewen and Man Shan looked ready to explode with rage. Man Shan's face darkened as he growled, "Let's fight them." "It's pointless." Mo Ling shook his head. His gaze drifted past the black-clad leader to the group beneath the tree, the true elites of the great Sheng Dynasty. If they fought, their chances of winning were slim to none. Du Yuewen and Man Shan followed his gaze, their faces growing even gloomier. Among the group under the tree were some of the most dazzling figures from Yuewen City, the super city they had all come from. At that moment, one of the figures under the tree, a cold-faced youth in black, glanced over at them, his eyes devoid of sympathy or mercy, only disdain. "If you want the Nirvana seal, you can have it." Mo Ling's expression shifted before he sighed in defeat. Walking forward, he extended his hand, revealing a silver Nirvana seal in his palm. Heh, now that's more like it. The black-clad man grinned smugly as he reached out, effortlessly absorbing the Nirvana seal from Mo Ling's hand. He waved dismissively and said lazily, "Get lost. Next time, don't show your pathetic faces in front of the great Sheng Dynasty, or you won't even keep your last Nirvana seal. You lowly scum from a minor dynasty." Mo Ling's fists clenched tightly, his nails digging painfully into his palms. He understood well the gap created by power and backing. If the man in front of him didn't have a super dynasty behind him, Mo Ling would have made him pay dearly. But, alas, they didn't have such a powerful background. "Let's go," Mo Ling said, his voice low and defeated. Without another word, he led the frustrated Du Yun and Man Shan away, their faces filled with humiliation, as they endured the pitying gazes of the onlookers. As they walked away, the crowd parted, watching them like beaten dogs with silent headshakes of disapproval. "Huh." Several men from the great Sheng Dynasty laughed heartily, their mocking voices filled with arrogance and delight. Though their laughter caused a few to frown, no one dared to speak up. Underneath the large tree, the cold-faced black-clad youth scoffed, just about to say something when his gaze suddenly shifted sharply toward another part of the clearing. A path opened up through the crowd, revealing Mo Ling and his companions storming away. However, Mo Ling abruptly stopped in his tracks, causing Du Yun and Man Shan to bump into him. Startled, they looked up, and their expressions instantly changed to one of embarrassment. The onlookers followed their gaze, where a few figures stood at the end of the path. Leading them was a young man with a serene appearance, followed by 3 men and 1 woman, all of whom had their eyes fixed on Mo Ling's group. The newcomers were Lin Dong and his companions. Lin Dong had observed the situation unfold but remained silent, simply watching Mo Ling and his companions. "What's going on?" Lin Dong asked quietly, his lips barely moving. Mo Ling's expression shifted before he quickly stepped forward, forcing a smile onto his face. "What a coincidence to meet you here. It's nothing. Let's go." Behind him, Du Yun and Man Shan opened their mouths, but said nothing. Lin Dong had already helped them numerous times. If they kept relying on him, they'd lose all their dignity. Moreover, the great Sheng Dynasty was far too powerful. They didn't want to drag Lin Dong into their troubles, as this time they weren't dealing with just any high-ranking dynasty. They were up against a true super dynasty. "Oh? Reinforcements?" The black-clad man from the plaza noticed Lin Dong's group and grinned broadly, his voice mocking as the crowd turned their attention to the scene, intrigued by the potential conflict. "Why aren't you fighting? You should be able to handle these guys, right?" Lin Dong ignored the black-clad man sneering and looked directly at Mo Ling. "They have a super dynasty backing them." Mo Ling's voice was hoarse, his fists clenched tightly. He knew Lin Dong had likely never feared anyone, even when they first entered the ancient space. Lin Dong had always faced every challenge without hesitation, and Mo Ling couldn't help but feel a sense of shame. Lin Dong gazed at Mo Ling, whose eyes were reddened with frustration, and smiled softly. He patted Mo Ling on the shoulder, then raised his head, looking past the plaza at the imposing figures beneath the large tree. "Let me ask you, if I take responsibility for everything that happens today, do you have the guts to take back your Nirvana seal yourself?" Mo Ling froze, then looked up abruptly at the smiling youth before him. His eyes instantly reddened further, and he nodded fiercely, like a mad wolf. "You're the boss, whatever you say." Seeing the renewed determination in Mo Ling's eyes, Lin Dong's smile deepened. "Do you trust me? I never doubted you from the start," Mo Ling said, exhaling deeply. He hadn't heard about Lin Dong's clash with the Stormcloud dynasty due to his delayed arrival at the core region, but it didn't matter. Ever since entering the ancient battlefield, Lin Dong's actions had instilled in him a profound, unshakable confidence. Even now, facing a super dynasty, he had unwavering faith in Lin Dong. At first, he didn't want to drag Lin Dong into this mess, not wanting to cause him trouble again. But Lin Dong had said something unexpected. He didn't directly intervene to settle things for them. Instead, he calmly told him that although their opponents had a super dynasty backing them, they had Lin Dong. Du Yun and Man Shan were similarly moved, their eyes flashing with resolve. With a fierce bite of their lips, their previously downcast expressions vanished, replaced with a sharp, dangerous light. It was as if they had become completely different people. The onlookers were bewildered, watching as Mo Ling's group, who had looked utterly defeated moments ago, now brimmed with killing intent. They couldn't understand why Lin Dong's mere presence could change them so drastically. Could this man truly give them the confidence to challenge a super dynasty? Go on, take back what's yours with your own hands. We may be from a minor dynasty, but whatever the consequences, I'll handle them, Lin Dong said with a wave of his hand, smiling. A minor dynasty? Lin Dong's words, spoken without much disguise, spread through the crowd, and many of the onlookers exchanged bewildered glances. At first, they had wondered where Lin Dong and his companions had come from to be so bold. But to their surprise, they too were from a minor dynasty. How had they even made it into the core region? But while the crowd mulled over Lin Dong's words, Mo Ling and his companions nodded resolutely and turned back toward the plaza, their killing intent now palpable. Oh, quite brave. The black-clad men still lingering in the plaza watched as Mo Ling and his companions returned, their mocking smirks growing. Kid, flaunting your bravado won't do you any good. I doubt you have what it takes to handle the aftermath of meddling in our business. The black-clad leader sneered at Lin Dong. Lin Dong simply smiled and didn't bother responding to such insignificant threats. His eyes shifted past the plaza, landing on the imposing figures beneath the tree. A cold glint flashed across his face. Arrogant fool, courting death. A white-haired man beside the black-clad youth chuckled coldly, baring his teeth in a sinister grin. The black-clad youth's razor-sharp gaze swept over Lin Dong, a playful smile tugging at his lips. Initially, he had intended to get involved, but now he sat back down, curious to see how Lin Dong would handle the situation. Li Yuewen, since someone wants to challenge the might of our great Sheng Dynasty, go ahead and test them. The black-clad youth flicked his fingers, a cold glint of light dancing at his fingertips, as he spoke casually. Yes. Li Yuewen responded respectfully, then turned to face Mo Ling's group, a vicious grin spreading across his face. You had a chance to walk away, but since you insist on dying, don't blame us for being ruthless. Boom. With a thunderous crash, Li Yuewen's foot hit the ground, and the earth trembled beneath him. But Mo Ling's group wasted no time with words. The powerful surge of primordial energy erupted from within them, its intensity catching Li Yuewen and his men off guard. It was clear they hadn't expected Mo Ling's group to be this formidable after going all out. Kill them. Show no mercy. Li Yuewen roared. Li Yuewen's angry roar echoed through the air. The fact that Mo Ling and his companions dared to challenge the great Sheng Dynasty's authority infuriated him. If he didn't teach these three a proper lesson today, their dynasty's reputation would become a laughingstock. Behind Li Yuewen stood four figures, each of them emitting a powerful aura. As soon as he finished shouting, the four of them shot forward, their primordial energy surging to the level of the third Nirvana stage. However, despite also being at the third Nirvana stage, they were clearly inferior to Mo Ling's group. After all, Mo Ling and his companions had inherited the legacy of a guardian sect, giving them a significant edge. While they couldn't compete with the leaders of super dynasties, they were certainly no pushovers. The figures clashed like lightning, and waves of powerful martial arts techniques rippled through the battlefield, brimming with intense primordial energy. Boom, boom, boom. The onlookers watched in awe as the violent shockwaves spread from the chaotic fight. Many were surprised, not expecting the previously humiliated trio to possess such formidable combat strength. These three have improved quite a bit, Little Mink observed with a smile. Well, receiving the sect's legacy helped bridge the gap in their foundations, Lin Dong nodded. Mo Ling and the others had indeed made significant progress. Whatever benefits they had received from the legacy must have been substantial. After all, Lin Dong himself had only reached the peak of the third Nirvana stage, though his power was strong enough to slay even a fourth Nirvana stage expert like Feng Tsang. Do you know them, Brother Lin Dong? Su Ro asked softly. We're from the same dynasty, Lin Dong replied with a smile. Suro blinked in surprise. She was well aware of Lin Dong's prowess, but compared to him, Mo Ling and his companions seemed rather ordinary. They seemed to be winning, little Yin, usually silent, suddenly remarked. Boom. As soon as his words fell, the sound of an impact rang out. The 4 warriors from the great Sheng Dynasty were sent flying, thoroughly defeated and looking utterly miserable. Taking advantage of the situation, Mo Ling and his companions quickly absorbed their Nirvana seals. Bastards! Seeing his comrades defeated so easily, Li Kuan's expression darkened. But before he could make a move, Mo Ling had already launched himself forward, his slender hand twisting as violent primordial energy gathered with lightning speed. Mad palm of returning to origin. Mo Ling's usually handsome face was now filled with fierce determination. The martial art he unleashed was extremely powerful, and the swirling primordial energy in his palm suggested it had reached the level of a low-tier spiritual martial art. Mo Ling, how dare you? Li Kuan's face contorted with rage as he felt the violent power in Mo Ling's strike. He hurriedly summoned his own primordial energy and threw a punch to counter it. Mo Ling's expression remained icy, and his savage palm strike collided with Li Kuan's fist. The impact generated a powerful shockwave, sending Li Kuan flying backward. He coughed up blood midair before crashing to the ground. Gasp! The surrounding crowd erupted in shock. Many couldn't believe that Mo Ling had managed to knock Li Kuan back with a single strike. However, after the initial surprise, their expressions turned to pity. Mo Ling seemed to have forgotten that the true elites of the great Sheng Dynasty were still watching from beneath the tree. Beating up one of their members in front of so many people would certainly have dire consequences. Useless. Beneath the tree, the white-haired man's expression darkened. With a cold snort, he slammed his palm into the ground, propelling himself into the air as a black streak of light. His powerful primordial energy surged forth. He was a 4th Nirvana stage expert. The white-haired man moved like a swooping rock, appearing above Mo Ling in a flash. With a cruel smile, he transformed his hand into a storm of primordial energy, which he swung viciously at Mo Ling. In the great Sheng Dynasty, even a lowly beast has a higher status than you. Let me show you the consequences of reaching beyond your station. The fierce wind generated by the man's strike tore through the air, its killing intent unmistakable as it shot toward Mo Ling with the speed of a thunderbolt. Sensing the overwhelming power of the attack, Mo Ling's expression changed. Just as he was about to counter, a whistling sound came from behind him. A large, towering figure suddenly landed in front of him, and a fierce burst of rod shadows shot out, colliding with the primordial energy storm. Get lost. A deep voice rang out, and a terrifying force erupted from the rod, sending the white-haired man flying. He crashed into a massive tree with a loud thud, landing in a disheveled heap. The cold-faced black-clad man's eyes narrowed at the sight. With a flick of his fingers, a black dagger appeared, which he hurled toward Little Yan's throat, its deadly glint tearing through the air. Clang! However, just before the blade reached its target, a streak of green light shot out from behind, smashing into the dagger and shattering it into pieces. Whoosh! The black-clad man's expression twisted as he saw a figure appear before him in an instant. The figure's slender fingers held a sharp, glowing green scale, which stopped just an inch from his forehead. I think I, Lin Dong, can handle what happens here today, Lin Dong said softly, his smile calm yet chilling. The crowd fell into a stunned silence. All eyes were on Lin Dong, whose serene voice carried a dangerous edge. Lin Dong. The moment the name left Lin Dong's mouth, many in the crowd had their eyes widen in shock. It was only then that they realized who he truly was. Around the shattered stone field, the murmurs that had filled the air earlier ceased completely. Those who had been watching with schadenfreude now had their expressions replaced by disbelief, a creeping sense of shock overtaking them. Lin Dong. Hearing that name sent a shiver down their spines. Not long after entering the core region, they had heard rumors of a monumental battle at the entrance to Myriad Elephant City. In that battle, the mighty Stormcloud Dynasty, a super dynasty, had been utterly crushed before they could even make their mark on the core region. And the one responsible for their defeat wasn't someone from a powerful background. He came from a minor dynasty. The clash between a super dynasty and a minor dynasty ended in an unexpected victory for the latter, a result that left everyone deeply shocked. Those who were part of dynasties understood the vast chasm between these two tiers of power. Even those lucky enough to inherit legacies found it difficult, if not impossible, to challenge a super dynasty. This gap had been evident earlier in Mo Ling and his companions' reluctance to provoke the great Sheng Dynasty. Yet because this understanding was so deeply ingrained, when news of such an upset spread, it created a wave of shock throughout the core region. And with it, a name became etched into the minds of all who heard the story. A name that dared to defy a super dynasty despite being from a minor dynasty. Lin Dong. Now, the man behind that legendary name seemed to have appeared before their very eyes. Gulp. Some of the bystanders swallowed nervously, their gazes filled with a new respect as they looked at the figure in the distance. No one had expected that the unassuming youth standing there was the very person who had caused such an uproar in the core region. Mo Ling and his companions, noticing the sudden change in the atmosphere, also fell silent. Their eyes were fixed on Lin Dong, who had appeared like a ghost in front of the great Sheng Dynasty's leader. A sharp scale hovered just inches from the leader's forehead, preventing him from making a single move. Quick as lightning. That phrase flashed through Mo Ling's mind. He hadn't even seen Lin Dong move, and apparently, neither had the great Sheng Dynasty's leader. Otherwise, there was no way Lin Dong could have gotten so close, with a weapon pressed to his head. This guy, he's gotten even stronger. Mo Ling's group exchanged glances, their eyes filled with a mixture of awe and complexity. Under the large tree, the expressions of the great Sheng Dynasty's experts drastically changed as well. Their pupils contracted at the sight of the sharp green scale between Lin Dong's fingers. Lin Dong. The cold-faced black-clad youth's expression stiffened, his pupils reflecting the sharp gleam of the green scale. His lips twitched slightly as he muttered, "No wonder you're so arrogant. You've got some skill." "Let's end this here," Lin Dong said casually, his eyes flicking toward the fallen great Sheng Dynasty members who had been stripped of their Nirvana seals. He turned his gaze back to the cold-faced youth with a faint smile. After all, this was a mess of their own making. "You think this will just blow over?" The cold-faced youth's eyes narrowed as he sneered. "You've taken Nirvana seals from members of the great Sheng Dynasty in front of all these people. Do you really think it'll end so easily? So, you want to fight?" Lin Dong's smile widened as he glanced at the youth's hand, where a faint golden light shimmered. "A heaven-tier Nirvana seal, that's quite tempting. You think you can take the Nirvana seal from me, Shinjun?" The cold-faced youth's eyes filled with malice. With a flick of his fingers, a black dagger shot out, cutting through the air like lightning toward Lin Dong's throat. Clink. Just before the dagger reached its target, a green scale appeared out of nowhere, blocking the strike. The scale shattered the dagger into powder with a crisp sound. Whoosh! Shinjun's eyes darkened as he retreated, leaving behind afterimages. His fingers flicked rapidly, sending a storm of black blades hurtling toward Lin Dong, aiming for his vital points. Seeing how vicious Shinjun's attack was, Lin Dong let out a cold chuckle. His palm curved, and with a sharp motion, a green scale shield formed in his hand. Though the shield appeared thin and only about a foot wide, its edges gleamed with cold light, distorting the space around it with sharp ripples. Clang, clang, clang. The shield, despite its delicate appearance, deflected every black blade aimed at Lin Dong. Sparks flew, but none of the blades could pierce the shield. Whoosh! With a quick twist of his hand, Lin Dong sent the shield spinning. It transformed into a streak of green light that shot through the air, aimed directly at Shinjun. The green light moved so quickly it was almost imperceptible. Even Shinjun could only catch a fleeting glimpse of the attack as danger loomed over him. He reacted swiftly, hurling a massive black bell to intercept the incoming strike. The black bell was an earth-tier spiritual treasure, and as it flew forward, it sliced through the air with a deadly hum, clearly possessing considerable power. Clang! The green light slammed into the black bell, sending a crisp ring reverberating through the air. The sound wave was so sharp that it cut through several trees nearby, cleaving them in two. As the sound wave spread, cracks appeared on the surface of the black bell, quickly growing until the bell shattered with a resounding boom. In the very first exchange, Shun Jun's powerful earth-tier spiritual treasure was destroyed. Whoosh! Even as the black bell shattered, the green light continued its path toward Shen Jun. The high-pitched whine it emitted was like the sound of a reaper's scythe cutting through the air. Ghost Blade Seal. Shen Jun's face turned grim as he hastily formed a hand seal. With a low shout, a torrent of primordial energy surged out, condensing into a black, ghostly blade that slashed down toward the green light. Clang! The ghostly blade collided with the green light, producing a sharp metallic sound. The two forces repelled each other, scattering into fragments that flew in all directions. Shen Jun had to scramble to avoid being hit by the sharp debris. The entire exchange happened in the blink of an eye, but the outcome was clear. Shen Jun landed unsteadily on a large tree branch, his face dark with anger. When he looked at Lin Dong again, his eyes were no longer filled with disdain but with wariness. So, the rumors were true after all, Shen Jun muttered coldly. He had heard the stories about Lin Dong's defeat of the Stormcloud Dynasty, but part of him had been skeptical. Now, after their brief clash, he understood that Lin Dong's strength was real. Beating Feng Tsang of the Stormcloud Dynasty didn't seem so impossible after all. Those around them were equally stunned, especially the members of the Great Sheng Dynasty. Their expressions shifted dramatically as they gazed at Lin Dong, their arrogance replaced by fear and caution. "I don't care if you super dynasties want to flaunt your power," Lin Dong said calmly, raising his head to look at Shen Jun. "Just don't do it at the expense of my friends." By now, Little Yin and the others had gathered behind Lin Dong, their eyes glinting with hostility. It was clear that they were ready to fight at a moment's notice. Sensing the tense atmosphere, the crowd grew wary. Now that they knew Lin Dong's identity, no one dared to underestimate him. After all, even though the Great Sheng Dynasty was strong, it still ranked below the Stormcloud Dynasty. If Lin Dong could handle the Stormcloud Dynasty, then defeating the Great Sheng Dynasty didn't seem far-fetched. High up in the tree, Shen Jun stared at Lin Dong and his companions, his expression dark and conflicted. Finally, after a brief internal struggle, he dispersed the primordial energy around him. He knew that if they continued, the Great Sheng Dynasty would likely lose. Seeing Shen Jun back down, the crowd let out a quiet sigh of relief, though there was a trace of disappointment in their eyes. They hadn't expected that even the Great Sheng Dynasty would retreat in the face of Lin Dong and his group. These people were truly monsters. "Lin Dong, I admit you've got some skills, but don't get too cocky. The ones who inherited the legacy of the 4 major demon sects from the Disha Alliance are already hunting for you. Let's see how long you can keep that arrogance when they come knocking," Shen Jun sneered, a hint of schadenfreude in his eyes. With that parting shot, he turned and left with his men. "The Disha Alliance, 4 major demon sects," Lin Dong muttered as he watched Shen Jun's retreating figure. Could this Disha Alliance be connected to the Tiangang Alliance and the 4 grand profound sects from the ancient secret repository? As the Great Sheng Dynasty withdrew, the tension in the shattered plaza eased, and the crowd's curious gazes lingered on Mo Ling and his companions. Many sighed inwardly, realizing that these seemingly ordinary individuals had powerful ties with Lin Dong and his infamous group. They couldn't help but feel relieved they hadn't joined in on mocking them earlier. "The Disha Alliance, for major demon sects," Lin Dong whispered to himself again, ignoring the curious stares. "Sounds like another repository, but the name suggests they were enemies of the Tiangang Alliance," Little Mink commented with a grin. "They must have fought some epic battles back in the day." "That has nothing to do with me," Lin Dong said, frowning. "Heh, sometimes inheriting a legacy also means inheriting responsibilities from the past," Little Mink said with a careless laugh. "Qingji never mentioned that to me." Lin Dong sighed, recalling the moment when he'd received the legacy. The ancient Qingji hadn't said anything about dealing with the Disha Alliance. "Lin Dong, you should still be cautious about the Disha Alliance," Mo Ling suddenly said from behind him. "Oh." Lin Dong raised an eyebrow, surprised at Mo Ling. "Oh." Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly, clearly surprised by the strange nature of the Disha alliance's legacy. It seemed that the enmity between the Disha and Tiangang alliances was deep enough that even those who inherited their legacies were drawn into the conflict. You and your group received 2 of the 4 grand profound sects legacies, but the other 2 fell into the hands of Yansan and Liu Bai. From what I heard, even before entering the core region, they had already clashed with those who inherited the Disha alliance's legacy from the super dynasties, Mo Ling explained. So even Liu Bai and Yansan have been targeted. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly. It seemed the Disha alliance truly had ill intentions. Your reputation has already spread throughout the core region. It won't be long before those people come looking for you, Little Mink said with a mischievous grin. Let them come. If we want to rise in the Nirvana golden rankings, we'll need plenty of Nirvana seals. If they're willing to deliver them to us, I'll gladly accept, Lin Dong responded with a smile, showing no fear. While he didn't enjoy trouble, he didn't shy away from it either. With his current strength, he could even hold his own against a peak 4th Nirvana stage expert. And with Little Yin, Little Mink, and Su Ro all by his side, each possessing formidable power, he was confident he could stand his ground even against a super dynasty. What exactly are the 4 major demon sects? Lin Dong asked after a brief pause. The 4 major demon sects are named after ancient ferocious beasts, Taotai, Hundun, Qiong, and Yuewen. Their legacies are incredibly powerful, and combined with the foundations of the super dynasties, their leaders have the qualifications to challenge the Nirvana golden rankings, Mo Ling replied solemnly. Ancient ferocious beasts, huh? Lin Dong nodded slightly. This was a fitting counterpart to the 4 grand profound sects, a clear opposition of righteousness and evil, which explained their deep-seated conflict. Oh, by the way, Mo Ling, this is my brother, Lin Yao. Lin Dong suddenly remembered and introduced them with a smile. Mo Ling quickly cupped his fists in greeting. He himself was rather handsome, with a slightly delicate, almost feminine appearance. However, when compared to Little Mink, whose beauty was both bewitching and ethereal, Mo Ling couldn't help but feel slightly awkward. It might have been a pleasing sight if they were 2 women, but as 2 men, it was somewhat uncomfortable. Nonetheless, Mo Ling didn't underestimate Little Mink due to his appearance. After witnessing Little Yan's terrifying strength, he had learned to regard anyone by Lin Dong's side with a deep sense of respect. He could also faintly sense that this youthful-looking man in front of him was likely just as fearsome. No need to be so formal. We're all acquaintances now, Little Mink said with a grin, leaving Mo Ling and his companions somewhat bewildered. However, Little Mink didn't elaborate, since they were unaware of his previous existence within Lin Dong's body. Lin Dong then introduced Su Kuei and Su Ro, and both sides quickly grew familiar with each other. There's something else I should tell you. As they became more acquainted, Mo Ling's expression grew serious. We've encountered Lin Langtian. Lin Langtian? Lin Dong's pupils shrank. So, that man was still alive after all. Good people die young, while scourges live for 1,000 years. Who would have thought that kid's life would be so tough? Little Mink clicked his tongue in surprise. Mo Ling and his group were well aware of the deep grudge between Lin Dong and Lin Langtian, so they weren't surprised by his reaction. After a moment of hesitation, Mo Ling continued, "But there's something strange about him. He doesn't seem the same as before. When we encountered him, he saw us too, but his gaze was unfamiliar, as if he didn't recognize us." Lin Dong frowned. What had happened to Lin Langtian? Whatever it was, it didn't seem to bode well. Still, despite the unfamiliarity, his strength has become terrifying. Du Yun, who had been silent, suddenly chimed in. We saw him kill a 4th Nirvana stage expert with our own eyes and take his Nirvana seal. Lin Dong's eyes grew cold. Back in the ancient secret repository, Lin Langtian's strength was at most at the 2nd Nirvana stage. Yet, in just a few short months, his power had skyrocketed to such an alarming degree. Clearly, he too had stumbled upon some extraordinary fortune. The number of enemies keeps growing, Lin Dong muttered, flexing his fingers as a sharp gust of wind swirled around them. But rather than fear or anxiety, there was a faint heat in his gaze, a hint of excitement. This was the 100 Dynasties battle, and it was enough to make anyone's blood boil with anticipation. Let's head to 100 Dynasty's mountain. Now that we've come this far, we have to see this final battleground for ourselves. I'm eager to meet the geniuses and monsters from the various dynasties of the Eastern Mystery region, Lin Dong said with a grin before leading the way. Behind him, Little Mink, Little Yin, and the others followed closely. Mo Ling and his companions watched Lin Dong's retreating figure, feeling a surge of pride. They were all from the great Yin dynasty, and seeing what Lin Dong had accomplished filled them with a sense of honor. When word of Lin Dong's feats reached the great Yin dynasty, the entire realm, whether the royal family, the sects, or the clans, would surely be shaken. That man might just become the brightest star in this ancient battlefield. In a secluded forest, a group of people sat in silence. Though no sound came from them, the cold and fierce aura emanating from their bodies seemed to freeze the surrounding air. Whoosh! Suddenly, a streak of light shot through the sky and was caught by one of the figures. It was a transmission jade slip. The person listened intently to the message within the jade slip, then abruptly raised his head toward the center of the forest. There, a figure sat like a demon god, intense heat radiating from his body. "Boss, we've got news on Lin Dong." Upon hearing this, the figure's eyes snapped open and flames swirled around him, coalescing into the shape of a massive ape-like beast with a white head and red feet. An ancient ferocious beast, Yuewen? So, he's finally appeared? Underneath the swirling flames, a pair of fiery red eyes gleamed with murderous intent. The figure stood up, and with a flash, he appeared atop a towering tree. "Let's go. We'll kill him, and only then will we truly obtain the Yuewen sect's legacy." As the voice echoed through the forest, the group below erupted in killing intent. With a flurry of movement, they surged forward like a storm, their speed tearing through the wind. Crack! The sound of bones snapping rang out as a powerful figure, whose primordial energy fluctuations were at the peak of the third Nirvana stage, collapsed to the ground. Blood and brain matter seeped from the cracks in his skull before his lifeless body crumpled. Thud! Beside the corpse stood a figure in green robes, who casually kicked the body aside. The man extended his tongue, licking the blood and brain matter from his hands. His voice, sharp and eerie, echoed through the quiet air. "Lin Dong, I wonder if you'll be terrified of me now." Heh. Slowly, the figure raised his head, his gaze piercing toward a distant location. His once handsome face now bore a twisted, ghostly expression. It was none other than Lin Langtian,